Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, bonjour, ciao, ni hao, privet, hola, and for the purposes of today's one, if you can't already see who we're covering today, if you're listening to this only and you're not watching on video, it's good day. You're listening to Road to the World Cup 26 podcast, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only place to find your regular soccer content on the English Premier League. And of course, because you're listening to all of this, the World Cup 2026. I'm your host, Nick Britten. I am joined, as always, by my esteemed friend, my fine colleague. He was away yesterday, but he's back. It's the Beaver himself, Mr. Ken Davies. Hello, Ken. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm feeling a bit, what's the word, exhausted. I've been Indian wedding for the last week.
Yeah.
Honestly, these guys know how to party.
It goes on. Every Indian wedding goes on for about 5 days, doesn't it?
Oh, my God. I've got one more tonight. But it's like, I'm not a party animal. I'm a Labrador. And you know what I mean? I'd rather be sitting in front of the fire, to be honest. But anyway, I'm here and I'm on it and I can't wait. But why, Nick? I need to ask you, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll know why I'm asking. Why, if you've got something that looks like a roast chicken with a flag around it behind you, and why are you wearing that daft hat?
Well, I think it's a bit of a clue to who we're doing. This is not a roast chicken. This, my friend, is Skippy the Kangaroo. Good night,
What's that, Skip?
How are you doing?
What's that? He's stuck down a mine and he's broken his leg.
Anybody who go, what on earth are they talking about? There was a great program back in the, when was it? 70s, 80s?
Oh, 60s, late 60s,
right.
early 70s.
Called Skippy the Kangaroo. And it was very popular here in the UK.
Bush Kangaroo, Nick. Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
Oh, sorry, Skippy the Bush Kangaroo. Is there a... Right, okay. And that's the sound that Skippy used to make. And he used to solve mysteries and all that kind of stuff just by just, I don't know. God, I can't...
It was the same story. It was the same story.
So something happened.
Got injured.
Yeah.
Behind the gum tree, and Skippy hopped off to find his owner and said, and luckily the owner could speak kangaroo.
Yeah. I said, what's that, Skippy? Old Bill's fallen down the mine, and something like that. And then and then they would go and find out old Bill down the line, and they'd save him. Yeah. And Skippy was the hero of the day.
What is like? Oh, he's fallen off. Look, he's fallen off. But what I would suggest, Nick, I thought it was a bit suspicious that Skippy was always involved in the crime. You know what I mean? He was always there on the scene.
I know.
I think he's like one of these people that start fires just so they can kind of put them out. So I think Skippy is he's a prime suspect because he's always there when the bad things happen.
This is
Ain't
true.
That right, Skip?
And he was never interviewed by the cops, was he? He was always just deemed the hero of the hour. So Skippy the Kangaroo is here. I'm sorry if you're not watching this, if you're just listening to it and you're wondering what on earth's going on. I'm wearing a traditional Australian. I've come in traditional Australian dress, so I'm wearing a corked hat because everybody in Australia wears a corked hat. We know this, and I've got a blow-up kangaroo with an Australian flag draped around its neck to celebrate the fact that, of course, today we are going down under, and today's team is Australia. What do you reckon, Kenny?
Nice. I like it. Is that Australia the Beautiful, Australia the Wonderful, or something like that? It's a very, very nice song. It's a bit sedate because Australians are rarely sedate, but it pulls at the heartstrings. So I do like Australia.
It's called Advance Australia Fair.
Oh, Advance Australia.
And it's written by Scotsman. It's written by Scotsman.
It's written by Scotsman.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a great national anthem, and I can quite happily listen to that for a while.
Good. Very glad to hear it. Right, we're going to have a look at Australia today, as we always do. There'll be a little bit of news, a little roundup news. Not much going on this week, to be fair. Ken will talk to us about the history of Australia in the World Cup. I'm going to pick out 5 key players. Ken's going to tell them how they're going to play. We've got a bit of a postbag, obviously, discussing some emails and letters that we've had in. Kenny's quiz, everybody's favourite time of the week, is coming up, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll have a quick look at Tony Popovich.
Kylie Minogue is the answer. Kylie Minogue, Dame Edna Everage, and Canberra. They're my answers.
Excellent. Well, we don't need to do Kenny's quiz anymore, do we? 3 out of 3. Congratulations. And then we'll end the podcast, as we always do, with a look at how we both think Australia are going to get on. Neighbours is the correct answer. Ramsey Street is the correct answer. Ramsey Street is the correct answer. So we're going to start, as always, with a little bit of news and having a look at the... I can see you've been hard at it the last few days, haven't you, Kenny?
I beg your pardon?
You've been hard at it because you're not even shuffling your papers this week. You're just sitting there.
I haven't got the strength. I haven't got the strength for it. I just need to. My body is like, when you say people die and all you can see is a very narrow kind of window, all the extraneous information gets like filtered out. That's exactly how I'm feeling. So I haven't got the brain energy to shuffle papers. I just got to focus on this. Let's get through the next 45 minutes, make it as brilliant as it can be, and then we'll go for a lie down.
Right. Okay. Bit of ticketing news then. And that is that FIFA have said that the general tickets, hospitality tickets have been on sale for a little while, but general tickets are going to be released in phases. The first draw application, Skippy
wants one. Skippy wants, it's a flying kangaroo.
He's gone. Tickets are going to be released in phases with the first draw application window opening on Wednesday, September the 10th. So people, if you want to get tickets for the World Cup, what you need to do is register now, register your interest, and Wednesday, September the 10th is the first draw application window. Okay, so get yourself on. Don't wait. What's that?
When are the media tickets released? We need to go on media.
Yeah, we'll be going, obviously, because we're covering all the games, obviously. Interestingly, hospitality tickets have been on sale, but have been released in batches. I did pick up a story the other day, actually, which I thought was interesting, in the London paper, City AM, which said that England's hospitality ticket packages, went on sale and were completely sold out in 3 days. So
wow.
Everything else is still on sale and has been. England went on sale and sold out within 3 days. So it looks like they're going to have to find some more and release some more tickets somewhere along the line for England fans.
Can I just mention, if anyone's watching on YouTube, obviously Nick's got his corked hat on, and those corks are swinging in a slightly hypnotic way.
I'm going to take it off.
I'm finding I'm just watching the corks swinging hypnotically, and to be honest, I was nearly away. I nearly regressed back to my earlier life then for a while.
I could have had you walking around like pretending to be a chicken and doing really.
I could have me doing anything, eating an onion that tastes like an apple, which is the standard one, isn't it, with hypnotists?
Yeah.
They give you an onion and say, "Oh, that's a lovely apple, isn't it?" And you eat it.
Yeah.
Say, "Oh, yeah, that was a delicious apple." It's an onion.
To be fair, given your state, mate, I think you'd just do that anyway.
I've had so much Indian food in the course of the last 5 days, I never want to see an onion ever again in the rest of my life. In fact, my skin's starting to peel off.
Well, tell us a little bit, Ken. Tell us a little bit about the history of Australia in the World Cup.
Well, first match, 1922, 7:20. And originally, of course, they were in Oceania Football Confederation, but they transferred to the Asian Football Confederation in 2006. I thought this was because of the standard of competition. They thought they'd get better competition in the AFC rather than Oceania, and that would be a good place to move to. In fact, slightly more complicated than that. When I looked at the qualification success of Australia pre-2006 and post-2006, an interesting pattern emerged, and we like interesting patterns. Australia only qualified twice in 11 attempts when they were part of Oceania. And the reason for that was because if you qualified for Oceania, you only got a playoff berth. You didn't get a direct qualification into the World Cup. And every time, or not every time, but many times that they came across another team in the playoffs, they failed. So the reason really they moved to the Asian Football Confederation is that they had automatic and considerable number of automatic playoff berths, so they didn't have to go through the playoff situation. So that's why they moved. And sure as eggs are eggs, ever since 2006, when they moved to AFC, they've qualified ever since. So the strategy they had and moving for that reason has really paid off very well for them. So they used to dominate qualification when in Oceania, including, Nick, and we've touched on this before, I'm just going to check if you've done your homework. They had a very famous 2001 victory against American Samoa. The score was
36-0.
31-0.
31-0. Oh.
31-0. Which is the highest ever international.
We talked about this on the podcast.
Oh, we did, yeah. Do you remember Archie Thompson, who scored a number of goals in that game? How many did he score?
11.
13.
13.
13 goals.
Yeah, good player, Archie. He had a good day. When he got out of bed that morning, he's never going to think, I'm going to score 13 goals today when we play.
No. Imagine what the American Samoa goalkeeper was dreaming about. She said, I'm going to say 3 penalties tomorrow. Yeah. And we're going to be the first time American Samoa has ever beaten Australia.
Yeah, we're going to say a last-minute penalty, and I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to be carried off the pitch on everybody's shoulders.
Yeah, going to carry off shoulder high.
He probably was carried off on everybody's shoulders and dumped in the sea. Just chucked away. Yeah.
Poor bloke's probably still got PTSD from it, to be honest. So they've qualified for every World Cup since 2006, including now 2026. So that's 7 qualifications now. Round of 16 is the furthest they've got in 2006 and 2022. The first one, by the way, was 1974. I remember that. So decent World Cup history, certainly since 2006. The form is decent. Last 10 games, and these are the games over 2024 and 2025. 2024 started badly. They lost at home to Bahrain, 1-0 in qualification, but they haven't lost ever since. In fact, 2025, they've had a pretty good 2025. They beat Japan 1-0 on the 5th of June in Perth. They beat Saudi Arabia 2-1 away on the 10th of June in Jeddah. So they've won a fair amount of games. In fact, in their qualification, they've won all the games in 2025 and they've not lost in the last 9.
Well,
so in terms of...
and this is down to the fact they changed the manager. This is all down because their qualification was going very badly. And they risked unbelievably involved. Yeah, not qualifying in a 48-team World Cup. They were in danger of that, so they sacked the manager last September and brought in Tony Popovich.
And he's made a huge difference. Unbeaten. We'll come to some of the changes, I think, in terms of the formation a little bit later. But they've come through as one of the 6 teams from round 3. You'll remember the Byzantine qualification process in the Asian Confederation. There's still another 2 to qualify automatically from round 4, but they came through in round 3. Ranking wise, currently 24th, to give you a bit of context in terms of where they sit in the 48. Highest was 14th in 2009. They've been as low as 102nd in 2015. So since 2015, it's been a pretty inexorable rise and ascendancy up to 24th. So a decent team. Again, always with the Asian Confederation, they only occasionally play decent teams, but their record against decent teams has been pretty good. And I think there's a little nuance, a little wrinkle in the formation that we'll talk about later that sets them up quite well against decent teams. So that actually may help them at the World Cup. So that's a little bit of history, a little bit of form, and a little bit of ranking information about Australia.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed. And that will play into stuff we're going to talk about later on in the podcast, particularly around Tony Popovich and what he's done since he has arrived to take over the national.
Do you remember him as a player, Nick? Because you're a big Crystal Palace fan.
Yeah, he played for Palace. Yeah, I remember him well. Centre-half for Palace. Yeah.
Yeah, good centre-half. Decent centre-half.
He's good,
No nonsense.
No. And I think he's sort of taken that into his. You can tell he's a manager. As a manager, you can tell he's a centre-half because the way he sets his team up is pretty defensive. And we'll come to that.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
We will. Good. Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Ken. That was good. Let's. Do you want to do an ad break, or should we have a look at some players?
Yeah, let's have a quick ad break. Because, as you know, as Tony Popovich knows very well, in football it pays to get your team selection right. And here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery partner, and we can happily announce that we are continuing with Zencaster all the way through 2025, 2026 season, because they make our life so easy. I'll make your life easy as well if you want to bring your vision to life, share it with your audience, because there's 4K video recording, there's easy AI editing, and amazing distribution tools, and it's all in one place. You don't need two different systems to get your story out there. So if you've got a story to tell, make sure you tell it with Zencaster and check the show notes for more details. Hi, Skip. What's going on, Skip?
Skippy's very happy with that. Skippy's back, and he's happy with that, with Zencaster.
Well done,
Skip. He likes Zencaster, don't you, Skippy?
Skip's on Zencaster. Like you, Skip. Skippy the podcast. Can you imagine?
That'd be good. Should we do that? Should we get Skippy involved in a podcast?
This sounds like Skippy the podcast. He's coming at you. He's coming for you. He's coming for you.
He's going to fall over.
Stay there, Skip.
Right.
Stay there, Skip.
Yeah, he's all right. He's okay. We'll leave him
He's
there.
moving. He's moving like he's alive.
It's a bit sinister.
Every time you turn
Sitting on
around,
my
he's
shoulder
moving.
is a bit sinister. Right, okay, let's have a look at 5 key players then, as we always do. Start with goalkeeper, because that's what we always like to start with. Matt Ryan is the goalkeeper, Matty Ryan. Following the theme, Ken, of goalkeepers beyond the age of 30, which is a current theme, he is 33 years old. So plenty of experience. He's well known to Premier League watchers. He played 121 games for Brighton and Hove Albion between 2017 and 2021. He's moved around. Yeah, he was a good keeper. I remember him at Brighton. He was a good keeper. But he's moved around a lot since then. He's kind of had a different team every season. He most recently joined Lens in France in January this year. Played a few games for them, but has now left. He left a couple of months ago. So he's now a free agent. He doesn't have a team as things stand.
He's a good pickup for someone. He's a decent pickup for someone at the second level, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. His international career is fine. He made his 100th appearance, actually, just recently in Australia's final qualifier when they beat Saudi Arabia 2-1, which was the game that sent them through to the World Cup. That was his 100th game. So fair play to him. It didn't look like he was going to get there, because when Popovich arrived in September the last year, he dropped him, brought in a young goalkeeper, but Ryan was pretty quickly back between the sticks, and no doubt will be. Well, I say no doubt. To be honest, we don't know, do we? But you would presume, providing he finds a club, that he'll be their goalkeeper in the World Cup next year. That's the goalkeeper. I always like to do a goalkeeper. Right, a couple of other players to look at. Martin Boyle is a 32-year-old Hibernian in Scotland, plays for Hibernian in Scotland. He's ever present on the right wing. A good player, works hard. He's good on the counter, which is how Australia like to play. Popovich really, really likes him. 34 caps for Australia, scored 10 goals in that team. Hibs have just qualified for Europe, actually, so he's on the back of a very good season. I think if the World Cup was now, he would be great. He would be going in and firing, but he'll be 33, obviously, when the World Cup takes place. There's a bit of a theme going on, I think, with Australia, and you might have picked this up in your research, Ken, that they're a kind of aging team, and there's lots of young players waiting in the wings, but haven't yet had any kind of opportunity. Now that maybe, now they've qualified, they've kind of got a year to sort it all out, we may actually be looking at a very different team to what we're looking at now. Because the players who have played in qualifying, they're all kind of the wrong age. You've got Boyle's 32. Players like Adam Taggart, who I'm going to move on to now, he's 32. He's a veteran striker. We don't want to be relying on him going into a World Cup next year when he'll be 33. But Taggart, he's placed for Perth Glory. He's been around the international setup for a long time. Had a quiet season in the A-League this season. He's got 10 goals over the course of the year, but only scored 3 times. After March, this kangaroo's going nuts, isn't it?
If you're just listening to this, honestly, I'm afraid to say you're missing half of the action. There's more action on this podcast than there's been on any other podcast, and that's all down to Skippy. To be honest, it's not down to me and Nick. Skippy is by far the most entertaining thing on this podcast. He is not. He's alive. I'm telling you. Every time you look away, he's creeping up on you.
I think Taggart is a sign of kind of where Australia are going wrong. It's a sign of their problems because they don't have a number 9. They don't really have a striker. They've got a year to find one, but they don't really have a striker. If you look at He made his international debut in 2012, but he's only played 19 times. He scored 7 goals in that time. So he's in and out, and I think he's sort of symbolic of where they're going to struggle next year unless they sort this part of the pitch out. But their main striker is a guy called Nishan Velupillay, and I'm going to talk about him for a moment. He's 24 years old. He's probably been the biggest surprise of the Popovich era, in as much as he made his debut last September when Popovich came in. He's done really, really well. He's played 5 games. He scored 3 goals. Missed the last couple of qualifiers because he was injured. But he's also had a very, very good club season. So he plays for Melbourne Victory, and he scored 12 goals in 30 games. So he might be somebody to look to next year, and part of that sort of new crop coming through. Good player. Can he do it against the big? I mean, I worry about. Look, these players have got to play somewhere. But if you're playing your club football in the A League in Australia, and you're going to come up against world class defences at World Cup, how good are you going to be? That's my concern about Australia.
That's a theme, I think. That's a theme. Looking at the players, as we always do, and you lead on that, but we all have a look at that. I just wonder about the standard of competition a lot of these players are playing against week in, week out. It seems to be second tier rather than first tier. And I think once they come across first tier players, there's going to be a big difference, a big step.
Well, my last player, it was if I'm brutally honest, it was quite difficult to look at players who currently play for Australia and get very excited about any of them. As I say, there is a younger crop, a younger generation kind of coming through who are waiting for their opportunity. So my last player is going to be one of those. And you and I will watch him this year, Ken, because he's just signed for Watford in the Championship here in the UK. So we'll get a chance to see him when they come to Derby. Played for Bayern Munich before, but didn't really make his mark at Bayern. But he's 19 years old. He's a winger. Sorry, I should introduce him, shouldn't I? I'm just talking about a random player. His name is Nestor Irakunda. There you go. So now we know his name. So he's 19 years old. He was named by Goal.com as one of the top 50 Wunderkids when he was at Bayern. So he's got something about him, but struggled for game time at Bayern. But he's skillful. He's quick. He's a Watford sort of player, if I'm honest with you. They like these type of players on the wing. Watford have always had got a good, powerful wingers. It's the way they play. And he is very known for his range of celebratory backflips when he scores. So we don't want to be seeing any of that at Pride Park, but I'll be very happy to see it elsewhere. So Popovich has been talking about him recently, saying how good the move is for Australia, getting him playing regularly at a decent level in the championships. He has got 5 caps, and he's got a goal out of those 5 caps. Now, the question is, Ken, he was described by one of his friends. No. Yes. He was described by one of his friends as the Australian who?
The Australian, he's on the wing.
That doesn't help.
Anya.
No,
I would say if he's on the wing, could he be the Australian Messi by any chance?
No, he's not. He's not the Australian Messi. Neither is he the Australian Neymar. But he was described randomly by one of his mates as the Australian Jude Bellingham, which is such a random thing. It's just such a bizarre.
I mean, Bellingham's a great player.
I know. It's just such a bizarre comparison, isn't it?
No, he's not a Bellingham at all, is he? He plays in a different position, completely different type of player.
Yeah, a tricky winger, fast, powerful, tricky winger. It's
not Bellingham.
It's not.
No.
Anyway, there we are. So look, they're your players to watch out for. I think we'll see. I think Ryan will be in goal. We'll see Boyle. I don't think we'll see Taggart. We'll see Velupillay, and then are we going to get a new crop of youngsters coming through? Because we could be, as I said, talking about a very different Australia team to the one that's qualified, and so there's a lot of work to do there. But it could be an exciting time for them. How do I line up?
It's an interesting. It's an interesting point, that, because in a way, I think this goes back to the fact that they were struggling with qualification earlier in the qualification process, and actually have had not enough time to bed in the newer players, and have had to rely, if you like, on experience to get him, if you like, through the qualification process. My worry, of course, is are they going to have enough time in the course of the next year? And the next year is going to be absolutely critical for them. To bring those players through, because they need to. Because if they don't do that, I think they're really going to struggle. But let's just go back to a formation. Formation's interesting on this. Principally, what I've tended to do on this, because Australia can play Indonesia and they can play teams that really aren't going to give them much of a game. It's really looking at how they set up when they play better teams like Japan and Saudi Arabia. I think that gives us a clue as to how they really do set themselves up. It seems to be a variant of a 3-4-3. So it can be it's three at the back, four across the middle, and either three up front or two sitting behind a lone striker. That lone striker, you mentioned the lad that's coming through. The last two games, it's been Duke, who's played a lot of games for them, and Barella, who's played a lot of games for them. But that seems to be the setup. One of the interesting things about the last three games is how little possession they have. So in the last three games, they've had 29% possession, 31% possession, and 24% possession. They've won two of those games and they've drawn the other one. So what we're looking at here with Popovich is a team that's very, very comfortable out of possession and will soak up pressure, will bring teams onto them and then hit them hard on the counter-attack. That's absolutely, I think, how he's set up from a structural perspective. So don't expect fireworks from Australia. Expect a lot of sitting back, expect a lot of soaking up of pressure, and then very, very good on the transition. That seems to be where the goals come from. There's a bit of a lack of goals. We'll talk about that later as well. But expect a fairly defensive setup, loads of pressure being soaked up, big transition periods, and then hitting them on the counter-attack. That seems to be the way things are set up and way Popovich likes to run things.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Don't expect fireworks. It should be their logo. It should be all over their shirt because I think Australia are going to be quite dull to watch, if I'm honest with you. The exciting bit will be if they can get the forward line firing, if they can get some young players and some speed up there and find a good number 9, then they've got a chance. But you're right. I think they'll just sit behind the ball all the time and wait for teams to try and break them down. I don't know. Is it going to be interesting to watch? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think it's going to work. It's going to work.
We'll see. Right. Okay. We're going to have a quick look at this week's postbag, and I'm going to introduce this week's postbag with the national musical instrument of Australia.
You know, Nick, that reminds me of the chicken booner from Wednesday night.
Skippy was getting excited. He was dancing up and down.
He loved that, didn't he, old Skippy?
Love a bit of the didgeridoo.
In the background.
We've heard from Roberto in Milan, who had dropped us a line, dropped us an email in the week to talk about something that we talked about on last week's podcast, which is IFAB's new proposed rule about penalties. Now, if you missed last week's podcast, A, why? Where have you been? But B, we were talking about new rules that are being proposed that will be coming into play in time for next year's World Cup. One of them is the fact that they're going to change rules around penalty kicks during open play. And when a penalty is taken, if it is saved or hits the woodwork, the game is stopped and restarts with a goal kick. So there's no rebounds, there's no follow-ups, there's none of that brilliant goal mouth scramble that we often see after a penalty is missed. So we had a very brief chat about that last week. And Roberto Milan has got in touch to say, because I think it's a very poor rule change. And Ken, you were saying actually, no, you think it's a good rule change. Now, in the week, England women played Italy women in the semi-finals of the European Championships. And with only a few minutes to go, right at the end of the game, and in fact at the end of extra time, England were awarded a penalty. Bit of a soft penalty, but a penalty nonetheless. And Chloe Kelly ran up, took it. Giuliani in the Italy goal saved it. Kelly got to the ball first, poked home the rebound. England won the game and got through to the final. And Roberto Milan says, well, I was watching that game. Obviously, he's a Sports Italy women. And he said, look, I know that it went against us and blah, blah, blah. And I know we were knocked out because of this. But penalty rebounds are really exciting. They create real moments of tension, real moments of excitement, and you've got that moment where if the ball doesn't go in, it comes back out. Who's going to get to it? Can they score? What's the goalkeeper doing? You've got 10, 11, 12, 20 or whatever, 20 odd players rushing into the area. Everybody's trying to get to it first. And he said, I totally don't agree with this rule change. Keep rebounds in penalties because they are a really exciting moment of a game. How's that changed your mind at all, Ken?
No, it hasn't actually, and I'm going to double down on this because, firstly, so just to put it in context, what we're talking about is having penalties in the 90 minutes, exactly the same as it would be in a penalty shootout. Once the save has been made or the ball's hit the post, the ball is dead, so there can't be any follow-ups. My view is now, and I should preface this by saying I've got a proper downer on penalties. Nick just mentioned there how soft the penalty was that was given. It was extraordinarily soft. And in fact, penalties are, in my opinion, should be completely and radically changed because it gives such an advantage to the attacker. Because the chances of that person scoring at that point in time is probably about 2%. The chances of scoring a penalty are about 78%. So, but let's put that to one side. My big issue with it is that not only is that huge advantage with the penalty taker, this gives them two chances. And I don't think there should be two chances. This is the equivalent of a penalty in basketball when the ball hits the rim and bounces out for someone to follow in and push it back down again. Makes no sense. Wouldn't work in any other sport. Shouldn't work in football. You get one chance. It's a pretty advantageous situation anyway to be given a 78% chance of scoring. All the odds are in the favour of the penalty taker. For the keeper to pull off a miraculous save, which is difficult enough from a penalty, only for the bloke to, or only for the lady, or only for the player to follow in and nod it in the far corner, I think is massively over advantageous for the penalty taker. So no, give them one chance to score a penalty, not two chances. That's my opinion still.
Okay. Well, my opinion on it hasn't changed either, and I agree with Roberto in Milan. I think penalty rebounds are an exciting moment in the game. It doesn't always go right back to the kicker. So defenders have got a chance, the goalkeeper's still got a chance. It creates excitement, and that's the whole point of going to watch football, is to create excitement, is to be on the edge of your seat, whether you're the defending team or whether you are the attacking team. We don't go to football to sit there and be bored. And this is a rule change, I'm afraid, which just makes football more boring.
Simple. Well, it's a good point, but we could make football interesting in all kinds of artificial ways, couldn't we? We could say, actually, we have to hop. We have to strap one of our legs up, and the whole game is played by hopping.
Well,
Skippy will be up front for Australia. But, I mean, there's all kinds of ways.
It might still be, to be fair.
By ridiculous kind of artificial rules. And I think this is one of them. But
it's 134-year rule. I wrote a blog on this, by the way. If you want to read it, do feel free. It's on the Global. It's not Global Sports Podcast. It's Global Sports Podcast Network website is what I was looking for. globalsportspodcastnetwork.com. And it's a 134-year-old rule. Why change it? Literally, why change it for the point?
Because Nick, it's about continuous improvement. It's about making the game better and better and better.
It isn't. It's about
anyway.
Right. Let's move on.
By the way, I hope you're enjoying the Road to World Cup 26, just like, was it Marco in Napoli?
No, Roberto in Milan.
Roberto in Milan. Sorry, mate. Hope you're enjoying Road to World Cup 26. If, like Roberto in Milan, you want to send us something and get our opinions on things, make them as controversial as you like. That was quite an interesting, chewy one because me and Nick have different opinions on that. Please do. And also subscribe, leave a review. Share the podcast with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the whole World Cup qualifying process, the whole World Cup, anything at all, to be honest. Now, you can email us at roadtoworldcup26@gmail.com. Go and have a look at the website. You'll find us there as well. It's globalsportspodcastnetwork.com. And very much looking forward to hearing your views, opinions, and congratulations.
Yeah, and we're on YouTube, we're on Insta, we're on X, we're everywhere. We're all over the place. We're all over this. We're all over this. Right, okay. Let's have a quick word from our sponsor, Ken, and then we shall move on to the best part of everybody's week.
Well, Global Sports Podcast Network is partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements, because your body is unique. My body is feeling particularly unique right now.
Not in a good way.
I'm not even sure Bioniq can help me out of this situation. Because without knowing what deficiencies you have, taking off the shelf supplements probably mean you're not getting enough of what you need. You may be getting too much of what you don't. I got too much of what I don't need. I'm just saying that. I'm putting that out there. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs, exactly at the right levels. No guessing. So click the show notes, use the code GSPN 2025 for your 40% discount off your first order. I tell you what, I'm going to buy every single packet and I'm going to just be taking them for the rest of the day and I'll report back on what happens.
Yes, it is, of course, everybody's favourite time of the week. It's Kenny's quiz. He looks in no state to take this quiz, I've got to say. So I'm going to make it very, very... Oh, the pipe's out. That's always a good sign.
Pipe's out, though. The pipe of thinking is out.
Excellent. Good. I'm going to make this nice and easy and nice and quick.
Great. Carly Minogue, Dame Edna Everidge and Ramsey Street.
It are the correct answers. Congratulations, you've succeeded on this week's quiz. Right, which Australian animal is known for its loud laughing sound, Kenny?
Carly Minogue. No, I'm going Kookaburra. Yay! Good start. Here we go.
1 out of 1. Very good. What is the national dish of Australia?
The national dish of Australia. I've got a feeling it's a cake and it's got a funny name. I think it's like is it a lamberton or something like that? Something like that. I think it ain't going to be kangaroo or koala curry, is it? It's going to...
You've got curry on the brain, you have.
I've got curry everywhere else. The barbecue, I suppose it could be.
I hate to see pain fishing around hoping.
I think it's a Lamington cake.
Right, a Lamington cake.
I think it's called a Lamington. It's a type of cake that they make. Well, in the 1960s and 1950s, all the housewives used to make this type of cake.
No, but curiously enough,
right through me.
Curiously enough, it's not the only thing that's gone right through you by the looks of things. Funny enough, you kind of got the name half right, but it's not a cake. The national dish of Australia, not surprisingly, because there's more of them than there are us, is roast lamb.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Finally, then, which Australian city, and you're just going to have to guess at this, which Australian city has the largest Greek population outside of Athens? Which Australian city has the largest Greek population outside of Athens?
Melbourne.
You should go out on a 5-day bender more often. 2 out of 3.
It was either going to be Sydney or Melbourne, wasn't it? And I thought Sydney's too obvious, so I went for Melbourne.
Yeah, no, very good. Well done. 2 out of 3. Well done. I hope you played along at home. I hope you're shouting the answers out and got 3 out of 3. But 2 out of 3 is a pretty good effort, I've got to say. It's a pretty good effort.
Yeah. 2 points. Up the league we go.
Indeed. Right, before we get on to our predictions, a very quick word about the manager of Australia, a man called Tony Popovich, who, as we were saying a little bit earlier on, Ken, we recognise and remember as a player. He was a very good centre-half, and he played for Paris, a team I'm very fond of and familiar with, amongst various other clubs, and took over Australia's national team as coach last September, at a time, as I mentioned this earlier on in the podcast, at a time when they were doing really poorly in qualifying. And the idea of Australia failing to qualify, not just for a World Cup, because they normally go through playoffs, Australia. They very rarely actually qualify off the bat automatically. They normally have to go through a playoff. But they were at a moment in their qualifying campaign where they were going to fall to the bottom of their group and risked just literally not qualifying at all, which in an expanded World Cup is bad enough when there were 32 teams, but 48 is just ridiculous. So they got rid of Graham Arnold, the previous coach, brought in Tony Popovich, and it was a moment of genius. I've got to say, it was an inspired decision because it was just before the two absolutely crucial games. China, who they're wooden spoon contenders, aren't they? And at the other end of the league, Japan, who are
It's wooden chopsticks, mate. It's wooden chopsticks.
wooden chopsticks. Yeah, sorry. You've got to beat China because if you don't beat China, then you don't deserve to go to a World Cup. And Japan is a hard game, so you need to be on it. So it was a controversial move to get rid of a manager halfway through qualifying, maybe, but it turned out to be absolutely the right decision because if they'd lost those games, they would have been in real trouble. They beat China 3-1. They took a point off Japan, 1-1, and that kickstarted the rest of their campaign, which has just seen them win in total five wins and 3 draws in his 8 games in charge.
Won every game in 2025,
and they've qualified automatically. Bingo. So well done, Tony Popovich. You've done a brilliant job there. The only thing is that this is not the most attractive of football that he plays. It's quite dour. It's quite pragmatic. You've talked about the fact that they tend to sit behind a ball. That's exactly right. What they'll do is they'll allow you to have possession, and their main hope of getting anything out of a game is to hit you on a break and hit you on the counter. Now, it's proved successful so far for him, but does he have the players to do it against top-level teams? That's going to be the key. So we've mentioned already, he needs to find younger talent coming through. There are players waiting in the wings. There's 4 or 5 players who are banging on the door. He's going to have a chance to have a look at those during friendlies over the next year. But he's got to get this sorted out. If he wants to play this game in the way that he does. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's not great to watch, but it doesn't really matter, does it? If you're a manager, you just want to win games. And let's have a bit of attacking flair up the top end of the pitch. But he's done exactly what he needed to do. He's come in, he's won games, he's made them difficult to beat, he's shored up the defence, and they've qualified for the World Cup. So many congratulations to him. I think Tony Popovich has done a really, really, really good job, and it'll be interesting to see when the next level of challenge comes his way, how they cope with it.
Do you think, by the way, that there is a correlation between the position that a manager played as a player and his approach to formation, setup, and tactics as a manager?
It's interesting
because now we've come across that. Where we've talked about. I think we did it with Ecuador, with the guys that clearly has been a defensive player, defensively minded player, and suddenly they get super effective, if you like, in that phase of the game. Do you think actually that's a thing that you get attacking?
Yeah. It's an interesting point. Do you know what? You went away a couple of weeks ago and did some research on extra time. I might go away and do a little bit of research on this because it's an interesting point. It's not something I've ever thought about particularly, but yeah, it might be that. And I'm just trying to think of managers around, your top managers, your Ancelottis and your Guardiolas and managers like that, whether or not the way they play correlated to the way they played as individuals and the positions they played.
I reckon
it is an interesting conversation to have.
There you go. By the way, when we set out this episode, we said we've got to keep it 45 minutes today. I reckon we've got a good chance. We need, though, to talk about predictions.
We're nearly there. So go on, you go first, because I went first last week.
Well, I've got my doubts about Australia. I'll be quite honest with you. I think, as we talked about earlier, they've left it a bit late to introduce some of the players that I think are really going to be their lifeline at the next World Cup. I see them getting around the group stages, and I see them probably not conceding many, probably reasonably effective at corners and set pieces, maybe nicking a couple of goals that way. But I think they're going to get found out in the round of 32. So I just think they've got a bit of a lack of depth. The next 12 months is going to be really critical. Most of the players are playing at second tier. I think they lack goals. I think they're going to get found out at 32. So they're going out in the round of 32 for me. Yeah,
okay. I actually haven't got them going that far. I don't think they'll get out of the group stages because I just don't think they've got enough goals in them. And this is right here, right now. This might change over the next year, but I don't think they've got enough goals in them, and I don't think they're that. I can just see them drawing all their games. That might be enough. I mean, it kind of depends on who's in your group here. So I kind of head to my bets at this moment in time. If they get a favourable group, they'll get through to the round 32. They're not going beyond that. They're not going beyond that.
No.
But I think if they get a tough group, they're not going to get out of it because I just think they're just not going to be good enough.
I'm going to have to force you into a decision. Group stage or
could be load of 0-0s. I think they're a team that will just draw loads of the games. I'm going to say out in the group stages, Ken.
Right. Okay. By the way, I did a slight analysis. That is now 13 teams. We have agreed on 8 of them. There's only 5 that we've disagreed on, and that's only disagreed by a round of 1. What do you say, Skip? No, Skippy. They're not going to win it. They're not going to win it.
He thinks they're going to win it. That's what he's just said. Going to win it. He also said, "Old Bill's down the mine again." Even though we told him last week to get out of mine, he's fallen back down the mine. So Skippy needs to go and save him. So
Skip. I reckon we see Skippy in one of them serial killer programs. Can you imagine Murder Australia starring Skippy the Bush Kangaroo?
And the police just missed. They just missed all these signs. They missed all. They missed all the signs because they were so pleased that he'd come and reported the crimes. They just missed all the warning signs that he was actually guilty of them. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Look, 45 minutes. We're done. That's the end of this episode. So thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, this is the last team, Australia, the last team that have qualified so far that we can talk about until more teams qualify in October out of Asia in the next round of qualifiers then. And of course, we've got most of the UEFA campaign still to run. So we're going to do something different next week. And we're going to bring you news of that when we do it next week, aren't we, Ken?
No, but we have got some actually quite clever ideas.
We haven't quite nailed down which of them we're going to do yet.
I think you won't want to miss it next week because it'll be an interesting history lesson. I know that.
Yes. If you've got any ideas, let us know. But no, no, we've got to.
Marco in Napoli wants us to do something on Italy. We will. Anyway, we'll.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it will be good. We've got 2 or 3 really good ideas. It will be I think we're entering a very good new phase of this podcast. It's all World Cup related, obviously, and so we very much look forward to bringing you that next week. But for now, thank you very much indeed for joining us. From Skippy, who's been a star of the show today, he's off to go down the old mine and find Bill. From me and from you, Ken, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. And goodbye.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.